Good morning, everybody. This class is being recorded. Welcome to SQL class. Let me introduce Meghna to all of you guys quickly. If you have any questions, technical or non-technical, please contact Madhu. I can be able to help you for anything. I think all of you are aware of my contact information. Please call me anytime during the weekends and weekdays, evening 6 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, Meghna is an excellent trainer on QA, QTP, and SQL. She is holding electronics and communication degree, and she did multiple certifications like IBM's rational certification, and she is certified on foundation level certification in hospitality and management. She was trained on lead projects. She has more than 8 years of software testing experience in multiple domains like banking, insurance, hospitality, and payment processing. She also conducted more than 50 training sessions on QA, QTP, RFT, QC, RQM, and SQL. This is in brief about Meghna. I will hand over the session to Meghna. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the class, or after the class, you contact me. Okay, fine. I am assuming that there are no questions. Please mute all of your mics. Your mics are in mute condition. Due to any reason, if you wanted to, if you are disconnected, please connect to the same meeting ID. Today you may face maybe 1 or 2 disruptions. If there is a case, please call me immediately. Please call Madhu immediately if you face any issues. Okay, guys. Okay, let me to hand over the session to Meghna. Meghna, could you take over the session?
Yeah, sure, Madhu. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. This is Meghna. Welcome to the first day of SQL class. So I'll be your trainer for SQL, like Madhu said. All right, so we'll get started with today's session. So today will be just an introduction class about SQL. So we will learn basic things about SQL. What exactly is SQL? What is a database? So we'll first learn about the terms and that is frequently used in SQL, and then we will also learn about how to do the installation, and then we will start learning the SQL commands. All right, so we will get started with today's session. So first, let me show you a PPT on SQL. Let me just open the PPT. It's called as SQL for testers. SQL for testers. So in this course, we are going to cover all the topics that is required for a tester. Though all the commands that you should know to do database testing will be covered in this course. So that is why we have named this course as SQL for testers. Now, first, let us understand why do we have to learn SQL, why SQL is required. So what is the importance of database, or why as a tester, or in general, why a person should know SQL when it comes to software. So these are some of the points that will tell you why SQL is required. Now, before I tell you about SQL, there's something called as database, right? So now anything that you do on the application, that is your front end application, everything goes and it gets saved in the database. Say, for example, you go to any website, you do the registration, right? Say I go and register to Amazon site. When I register to Amazon website, I enter my details like my first name, last name, email address, phone number, and then shipping address. All these details I enter on the registration page. Now, when I enter these details and click on the register button, these details should be saved somewhere for future reference, right? Next time when I log in, I need to use the same email ID and password. And then when I purchase a product, it should pick the shipping address that I had entered during registration. So all the details that I have entered during registration should be saved somewhere. right? So all these details are saved in backend, that is nothing but the database. So as an end user, you will not see the database. You are going to use just the front end, but database is like a backbone of your application which saves all the data. Now whatever I have entered on the front end application, this data goes and sits in the database, and it can be used anytime the application wants, right? So when I place an order, there are millions of customers placing order on Amazon day in and day out, right? All these order details again should be saved somewhere, like the order ID, when this order was placed, by when it should be delivered, what is the shipping address, what is the cost. So all these details also should be saved somewhere, right? So again, this is also saved in the database. Now all the orders placed by customers of Amazon will be saved in database. Now database is there for all application. Amazon or retail application is just an example. So you will have database for each and every application that is there. So you will have database for your banking application also to store bank related details. You will have it for insurance applications. For each and every application, database is a must. Right? Now, why do we have to connect to database, or what do we have to do with the database? So if you know database, it helps you in understanding application better, right? So it helps you in understanding application better. So when I say understanding application better, you will know the complete application, right? So front end is what we use. So as an end user, you use front end, nothing but the user interface. So when you want to buy something on Amazon, you open amazon.com, you browse through the product and you purchase it, right? So that is the front end that we use as a customer. But say when you're testing the application, when you're working on the application, if you know database, you will know front end plus back end, right? You will know the complete application. Not just the front end, you will know the flow also. What data flows from front end to back end? What is saved in the back end? That is nothing but database. What all details are saved in the database? Is the details saved properly? So all these things you will know if you know both front end and back end. If you know database, which means you will know the complete application. And so it helps you in understanding application better. It also helps you in understanding HLD and LLD better. HLD stands for high level design, LLD stands for low level design. It helps you in understanding the design of the application. You will have a design document which will be prepared by the developers, right? So if you know database, in design document, they will mention the database details also. What all tables will be there, what data gets stored in the database. So all these design of the database will be there in your design document. So if you know database, you will easily understand the design of the application. That is because you will know both front end and back end. So you are aware of what is a database, you know what is a table. So you know database, which means you can easily understand your design document. It also helps you in better test case execution. It helps you in execution. Say I'm testing something. I'll give you an example. I'm testing something, and according to the requirement says that once I log into the application, so once I log in, entering my email ID and password, on the home page, so or on the welcome page, as soon as you log in, it should say hello, first name of the customer, comma, last name. So this is the requirement given by the client. So according to the requirement, so when a customer logs into the application, it should have this text on the top right corner, hello, first name of the customer, comma, last name. Now when I'm testing this on the application, it is actually reversed. Instead of first name, comma, last name, it is actually showing last name, comma, first name. Okay, so instead of first name, comma, last name, it is showing last name comma first name. So the values are swapped, which means it is not matching with the expected result, right? It is not matching with the expected result. So what I need to do, I need to open a defect. Right? It's not matching with the expected result, which means there's something wrong in the application. So I will open a defect. I'll tell developer that these values are swapped and he has to fix it. Now let us assume that I know database also. So instead of just checking the front end, I will check the DB also. What values are saved here in database? So I'll go to database, connect to database, fetch first name and last name of the customers, and there I see that the values are actually swapped in the database. So in the database there is first name column name is first name, but actually last name of customers are getting saved here. And we have last name column where first name of the customer is getting saved, which means the values are actually swapped in the database. So actual issue is in the database. Now again I'll open defect, but this time I will also mention the details of the database where this issue is there. So in my defect report, I will mention that, okay, this is the table where the values are swapped in the database. So the root cause of this problem is in the database. So it is easy for the developer to fix it, right? He knows where exactly is the issue. So in database, these values are getting swapped, and that is the reason it is getting, so these values are wrongly picked up on the front end. So the issue is in the database. So it is easy for the developer to fix it. So he can directly go to database and fix this issue. So it helps you in better test execution. That is because you will be testing the complete application. You're not testing just the front end. You're testing both front end and back end, which means you're testing your complete application. So that is one more advantage of knowing database or SQL. It also helps you in test data preparation. You can pick some test data from the database. Now what is the test data? Test data is nothing but data that you use for your testing. So if I have to log into any application, what test data I enter on the application? So what is the test data? So if I have to log in, what I enter on the application? What all test data I have to provide if I have to log in? Can you tell me to log in what all test data you provide? Yes, username and password. Right? Correct. So username and password are test data. Username and password are my test data that I enter on the application. Now these test data I will register and I can use the same username and password to test my application. But sometimes there will be test data where you cannot input some random words or numbers. Say for example, if I'm testing the banking application, and in my banking application I have a field wherein I have to input an account number. I have to input an valid account number. Now I cannot input some random number in that field. There will be some test account numbers which will be created. So I need to use one of the test account numbers to test the application. Now from where can I get this data? So instead of creating a new account again, what you can actually do is you can go to the database, write a query and pick an account number which is already created. From the database, you pick an existing account number, use it to test your application. Or say you want a social insurance number to test your application. Say SINs are stored in the database. So just query the database, pick the number and use it on the application. Right? So database can also be used for test data preparation, which means you can get the test data for your testing from the database. And also database plays a very important role in access control and authentication. So what is authentication? When you try to log in, When you try to log into any application, you enter your email address and password, right? You enter email address and password. Now, when I enter my email address and password, so whatever email address and password I have entered will be validated against the database. So what happens when I click on sign in? It will connect to database and it will check if email ID is correct. Right? It will check if email ID, whatever email ID has been entered, if this email ID is there in the database or not. If this email ID is there in the database, then it will check if the password that is entered for this email ID is correct or not. So if this email ID exists and password is matching, which means if email ID and password are correct, only then I'm allowed to log in. So if email ID is not there or password for this email ID is not matching, then it will throw an error message saying that invalid username and password, and it will not allow me to log in. So that is nothing but authentication. Authentication is where it will check if the email ID and password is matched with the database, if it is correct or not. So every time you sign into any application, it will match it with the database. It will validate if whatever you have entered is correct or not. So only if it is correct, it actually authenticates, and only if it is correct, you are allowed to log in. That is authentication. And access control is your application will have different access level, right? So if you take any application, say an admin will have different access or privileges. A customer will see different set of screens. A manager will have different access level. So all these access control for any application is also defined in the database. So database is very important for access control. Who is the manager? Okay, so if this person is the manager, then he should have these access. If this person is an admin, then he should see these pages. If this person is a customer service representative, then he should see only these screens. So access control and authentication both are handled in the database. So in simple terms, database is very important for any kind of application. So all your application will have database. Without database, none of the applications will work. Right? None of the applications will work. So it is very important to know the database. So that will help you in understanding your application better. Okay. So that is why you have to do this course. Now, once again, I'll just go to the next slide. Yeah. Course content. What you can expect from this course? You will be learning all of this. Introduction to database. What is database? And then you will learn about what is RDBMS, what is SQL, how to write SQL queries. We'll also learn how to create database, how to insert records, how to delete records, how to include SQL in your testing. Right, so all these things we will learn in this course. Objective of this course is to explore the basic commands and functions of SQL. So all the basic commands and functions of SQL will be covered in this course. We will learn about SQL data administration, like how to create tables, how to create database, how to modify a table. We will also learn about data manipulation, like how to add, modify, or delete records. And we will also learn how to use SQL to extract useful information from the database. So that is the objective of the course. So we'll be covering all types of commands in SQL. Retrieving data, modifying data, deleting data, updating data, creation, everything will be covered in this course. Okay, now that you know the objective and what you can expect from this course, now let us start with the simple term. Before we start learning the commands, it is very important to understand what exactly is a data or what exactly is a database. Now, what is data? Fact related to any object is called as a data. Fact related to something is called as a data. Say I have an employee working in my company. So details of an employee, his name, his phone number, salary, in which department he is working, his education qualification. So all these are facts related to an employee working in my company, right? So that is a data. Okay, data is nothing but fact related to any person. So if you take, say, a mobile phone, facts related to mobile phone, color of the phone, which operating system, name of the phone, camera, how many megapixel, screen resolution. So all these are facts related to a mobile phone, right? That is nothing but data. Data is fact related to any object or a person, is nothing but a data. Then what is a database? Database is collection of data. Database is collection of data which supports storage and manipulation, so that data management is easy. Now, facts related to any person or object is data, right? So fact related to an employee is a data. So if I have 100 employees working in my company, if I store details of all these 100 employees in one place, that is nothing but a database. Fact related to one employee is a data. When I collect facts related to all the employees together in one place, that is my database. Say for example, if I maintain this Excel sheet, say I have 100 employees working in my company, and I'll maintain these I maintain their details in this Excel sheet. So I will have details like their employee ID, employee name, and say salary, phone number, and their department. So all 100 employees working in my company, I want to store these details of all my 100 employees. Say employee ID is 111, employee name is say John, his salary, phone number, department is say software. And then the next employee is say Peter, his salary, phone number, say department is accounts. So like this, details of all 100 employees I will store in this Excel sheet. So I have 100 employees working in my company, and details of all the 100 employees I will store in this Excel sheet. Now this Excel sheet becomes my database. It's a collection of data, right? So this Excel sheet is storing data of all 100 employees working in my company. So this Excel sheet becomes my database. Okay, so this is a database. But what we are going to learn is not just database. We are definitely not going to learn about Excel sheet, right? We are going to learn about DBMS, which stands for Database Management System. Excel sheet is a database, but it is not a database management system. What is a database management system? Say, for example, let us take the example of Amazon. If I have to store all the customer details in Excel for Amazon, how many customers are there for Amazon? Many, right? Millions. So can I use an Excel sheet to store millions of rows in details of all the million customers in an Excel sheet for Amazon? Do you think it is feasible? No, right? Definitely not. So even though I can store some data in Excel, but it is not a database management system. Right? I cannot store millions of records in my database. I need a database management system to store so much of record. So all your applications are making use of database management system, which is only to save the data. It can be easily integrated with your application, and managing or maintaining this data is very simple. So using Excel, if I have to modify some 100 records, I have to do everything manually, right? So I will have to go to each and every row and update my data, all 100 records out of say 1000. If I have to update 100 records, then it is very difficult using in Excel sheet. But if I have a database management system, then it is easy for me to update the information. So database management system allows you to store, manipulate data very easily. So all your applications will have database management system, not just a database. So we are going to learn about database management system. And also in database management system, there's one more thing called relational database management system. So all the database which are there in the market these days, they're all RDBMS. RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. It's a type of DBMS. But what exactly is RDBMS? I'm not going to explain it now because you will not understand if I tell you what is RDBMS. So we'll study about this later. Right? For now, we'll just leave about RDBMS. We'll just concentrate on DBMS. But whatever database we are using these days, they're all RDBMS. But what exactly is RDBMS? I'll tell you later. Then what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is also called as Sql. It is a language which is used to communicate with the database. So using this language, you can tell database what exactly you want. Okay, I want all the customers from US. I can tell database, okay, give me the list of all the customers from USA. So SQL is a language you can communicate with the database. Right? So it is simple, easy to learn when compared to the other languages. So if you take VB script or Java or C, C++, they are complicated, but SQL is relatively easy to learn. So it has simple English-like statements. It is not that complicated. But yes, since it is a language, little of practice is required, but compared to the other languages, it is easy. Right? So this is a language using which you can communicate with the database. So it has commands like select, insert, update, delete. So all these commands are there, which we will study one by one. So no matter what database your application is using, so there are databases from different vendors. There are database from IBM, there's a database from Microsoft, there's one database from Sybase, you have a database from Oracle. So there are different databases from different vendors, but all database makes use of SQL. So SQL is a common language which is used to communicate with the database. Right? So we will be learning SQL, commands in SQL, and we will be learning about RDBMS. Now, database that we are using in this course is from Microsoft. Let me just go down here. Today's status. So you're already aware of duration of this course, right? Duration of this course is 5 weeks. So start date is September 22nd. September 22nd is the start date. So you will have classes every Saturday and Sunday, 1 hour, so 10 hours course. Now, there, like I said, there are database from different vendors. There is MySQL, there's MS SQL, there's DB2, there's Sybase. So these are different types of database which are there in the market. So in this course, we will be using MS SQL from Microsoft. So we are going to use MS SQL or Microsoft database. So if you have a Windows operating system, you can install it on your computer. So in case you have a Mac or any other operating system, you can use the lab machine to practice SQL. Right, so there's a lab machine available for SQL. So in case you don't have a Windows operating system, so you can just connect to the lab. You have to reserve the lab, connect to lab and do the practice. So now I'm going to show you how you can install SQL on your machine. It's free, so you can, but don't install the latest version. Latest version is you get only for a trial period of, I think, 180 days. So don't go for the latest version. You can install version 2014. So install 2014 version of MS SQL. So there is a document which explains you step-by-step procedure of how to do the installation. So this is the one SQL installation guide. You can follow this document. Each and every step is mentioned here, and I'll also quickly explain you the steps, what all things you need to install. But yes, you can follow this. Install SQL on your machine. So in case you're not able to, or in case you're stuck, we'll always help you in doing the installation. Right, so you can just go to this link to download, or in Google, just type Microsoft SQL Server 2014. Just type Microsoft SQL Server 2014. Here, download it only from the Microsoft site. So click on the first link that appears on your search page. Download Microsoft SQL Server. Now you will need two softwares. So this package comes with actually two softwares. One is called as Sql Express. The other one is called as Management Studio. You need both. Sql Express is actually the main software, your main database. The actual MS SQL is in this Sql Express. Management Studio is the UI, user interface. Management Studio is something using which you can write all your SQL queries or connect to the database. It is a UI which will help you to connect to SQL Express. So both are required. So both can be downloaded from this link. Let me go to Microsoft site. Okay. Now here, just click on download. Click on download. First, download and install SQL Express. You can see SQL Express comes in 32-bit and 64-bit. Depending on your machine type, you need to select the appropriate one. So if yours is a 32-bit machine, then you have to select this one. If yours is a 64-bit machine, then you will need this. You can check your machine type from here. Just go to Start, Computers, right-click, and Properties. In Computers, right-click and Properties. It will show you the system type. Mine is a 64-bit operating system. So you can check in your computer's properties, and depending on your operating system type, you can select your SQL Express. So if it's a 32-bit or 64-bit, select the appropriate one. Click on Next. Click on Next. When you click on Next, the software gets downloaded. So once it is downloaded, you can just follow this document. You need any of the unzip softwares, either WinZip, WinRAR, or 7-zip. Any of this will do. So once it is downloaded, you will see a file like this, SQL Express. So file like this gets downloaded. You need to unzip this file, right click and extract files. It's all these steps are there in the document. Right click and extract files, and then you will see a folder like this. Double click on the folder and run this setup file. Run the setup.exe. So once you run on my machine, it is already installed. So I'll just show you the screenshot. Once you run setup.exe, this window will open. In this window, click on the first link, New SQL Server Standalone Installation. Click on the first link, New SQL Server. Yeah. Can you guys hear me now? I just connected again. Is my voice audible? Okay. All right. So once you have downloaded, just let me know in case you're facing the issue again. Okay, so just download the file, unzip the file. So once you've unzipped, run the setup.exe, click on the first link, and all you have to do is just press next to do the installation. So until you reach this screen. So in this screen, if you want, you can do some configuration. Here, if you see, there are two radio buttons, right? So there are two radio buttons. One is Windows authentication mode and the other is mixed mode. Windows authentication mode. If you select Windows authentication mode, every time you connect to database, it will connect directly. It will not ask you for any password. Right? If you select, that is the default option. If you select Windows authentication mode, it will not ask you for any password. It will connect directly to database. But if you want to set a password for your database, then select the second option, mixed mode. Only if you want to set a password. If you don't want, then you can select Windows authentication. So if you want to set a password, then select the second option, mixed mode. Enter your password here in the password field. There's also confirm password. Enter password, confirm password, enter these values. So every time you connect to database, you need to use the same password to log in. Right? So it depends what you want to do. So if you don't want to use any password, then select the default option which is there. Just press next. If you want to set the password, only then you can select mixed mode. So this is the only configuration you need to do. Apart from that, you just have to press next until the installation is complete. Right? So all these details I have mentioned in the document. So you're done with installing SQL Express. That is step 1. So once SQL Express is installed, next step 2 is to install Management Studio. You can find Management Studio here in the same link. Down below you will have Management Studio. Again, Management Studio also comes in 32-bit and 64-bit. Depending on your machine type, you can either select a 32-bit version or 64-bit version. Select Management Studio, click on next, and it gets downloaded. So there's no configuration to be done in Management Studio. All you have to do is just press next. Same steps. Once it is downloaded, you will see a file like this, SQL Management Studio. Right click, unzip the file, extract the files. Folder will be created. Open the folder and run the setup file. Run the setup file, and no configuration to be done. Just okay, step 2 is here. Run the setup file, and all you have to do is just press next, next, next until the installation is completed. Right, so Management Studio will be installed. So once you have downloaded and installed both SQL Express and Management Studio, you can open your database from here. Just go to Start. You will find this SQL Server Management Studio. If you're not able to find, in search, just type Management Studio, or you can also type SQL Server or anything, or SSMS also. If you type, it will open. So this is the one. This is your database, SQL Server Management Studio. Click on this. When you click, it will open this splash screen. This is called as splash screen. And then it will connect to database. And then you will get this screen. So if you have selected Windows authentication mode, you just have to click on the connect button. In case you have selected mixed mode, then you have to use the password here. You have to use the same password that you have set during installation. Right here, for me, it is disabled because I have selected Windows authentication mode. So if you have selected mixed mode, then you will have to enter the password every time you connect. And then just click on connect. When you click on connect, it gets connected to database. Right, so that is how you install SQL Express and Management Studio. Step 1 and step 2. Now there is one more step here. That is step 3. Step 3 is to download database. Now we will need a dummy database to practice all the commands, right? In real time, we will have the actual database on which we will be doing testing, or will be using that database. But here in our class, we will need a dummy database with some records. We can create our own, but adding so many records, like hundreds of records, is not easy. So you have this dummy database called Northwind. So it has many tables in it. It is an example for a retail application. So it has many tables and a lot of records in these tables. We will be using this database to practice all our SQL command. So you can download this Northwind database from here, but I think that file, some other file has been uploaded. So what I'll do is I'll send you this file. So you will receive it with recording. So file name is called as northwind.bak. So it is a zip file. Right, so you will receive it with this notes and recorded video. So when you receive email from Madhu, so in that you will have this attachment also. Northwind.bak.zip file. So steps to install this database is also there. So this file is also there in this Word document. It's called as package. You can also download it from Word document. I'll also attach it with the email. Now, once you have downloaded the file, you have to unzip it. You have to unzip the file. So once you unzip, you will get this file called northwind.bak, this file. Copy this file and paste it in the installation path. This path I mentioned in the document: C files, program files, Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, C program files, Microsoft SQL Server, SQL Express, MS SQL, backup. You need to paste it in the backup folder of MS SQL. Just copy the BAK file and paste it in the backup folder. And so just follow the steps there in this document. right? Copy and paste it in this location. So once you have pasted, there's a query that I have written here. Just copy this query, this entire query till here. Copy this query, go to your SQL. Here, click on new query. Click on new query. When you click on new query, you will get this editor window, this white screen that you're seeing here. It's called as the editor window. This is where you will be writing your SQL queries, and down below you will get result. Here in this part you will get result, and here you will be writing your SQL query. So copy that SQL query which is there in this document, paste it. Don't make any changes. I'm going to make some changes, but you don't have to make it because I have version 2008. So for 14, you don't have to make any changes, right? Just run the query. Paste the query here and click on this execute button. Copy the entire query from this document, copy, paste it in the editor window, click on execute. So when you click on execute, this query gets executed and Northwind will be installed. You can see that here. You can just go to database folder. You can see a folder called database, right? If you're not able to see, just right click and refresh once. And then you will be able to see this Northwind database. You can see there's a database called Northwind. Right? So there is a database called Northwind. When you expand this, you will find a folder called tables. Expand tables. You will find many tables in your Northwind database. And so that is how you do the installation. Okay. So that is how you do the installation. You can just follow this installation guide and you can do the installation. So in case you are not able to, so you are stuck, you can always send an email to Madhu. We will help you in doing the installation. So Northwind is installed on my machine, so I can use this database. So this is a dummy database. Your actual database will also be like this with lot of tables. So we will be using this database to practice all the SQL commands. Okay. So that is about the installation. First you install SQL Express, then you install Management Studio, and third part is where you install Northwind database. There's also a troubleshooting document which I'll share you. So in case you get any error message during installation, you can follow this troubleshooting document, SQL installation error. Right? So in case you see any of these error messages, just follow this document to fix the issue. So even after following, if you're not able to, then you can always send the screenshot and we will help you in fixing it. Okay, so that is how you do the installation. Is it clear? Any questions in so far about the terms or regarding the installation? Meanwhile, there is a note from Madhu. So in case you want the running notes and recorded video, you can just type in your address here in the chat box, or you can send an email to Madhu, info@getsoftwareservices.com. All right. So that is about the installation. Now, once you are done installing, you can practice all the SQL queries. So before we write down the queries, so this is the folder, tables folder. This is the folder that we will be using. So in the tables folder, you can find all the tables in your database. So there is customers table, employees table, products table, orders table. So these are some of the tables which are there in the Northwind database. So to write your queries, you will click on this button, new query button. So when you click on new query button, you will get this editor window, and in this editor window you can write down your SQL commands, and below you will get the result. So let us start with a simple command. So when you expand the table, so let us use this table first. Let us use customers table. When you expand customers table, you will see some columns in the customers table, right? You will see some columns in the customers table. Some folders are there, and there is a folder called columns. When you expand columns, you will see what all columns are there in the customers table. Now customers is a table which is storing details of the customer, like their customer ID, company name, their name, address, city, phone number, fax number. So all these details of customers are stored in the customers table. Now I want to see what data is there in this table. How many customers are there? What details are stored in this table? So if you want to fetch something from a table, command used is select. Okay, select is a command in SQL using which you can fetch records from table. Okay, select space, I'll give star, I'll tell you what is star. Select star from which table? Customers table. What is the table name? Table name is customers table. Right? So table name is customer table. So command used is select star from table name. This is the first query, basic query that we will be learning. Select is a command in SQL which will give you records or rows from your table. When you want to fetch from something from your table, you use the command select. Select star means everything. Star from table name. Where is this table? This table is in Northwind database. So from this drop down, here you can see there is a drop down. So from this drop down, you need to select Northwind. You need to tell where this table is present. So this table is there in my Northwind database. I'll select Northwind, and when I run this query, you can press the execute button to run this query, or you can press F5, function key 5, or this execute button, anything will do. So when I run this query, I'll get the result down below here, and it will give me a list of all the customers whose details are stored in customers table. You will see details like customer ID. You will see that each customer is given a customer ID. This column called as company name, name of the company, their contact name, contact number. This column called as company name, name of the company, their contact name, contact customer. This is title of the address of the customer, city, region, postal code, country, phone, fax. So like this, details of all the customers are saved in this customers table. How many customers are there? How many customers are there? You can check it here, the bottom right corner. I highlighted it. Bottom right corner, you can check how many customers are there in the customers table. You can see there are 91 rows, right? which means there are 91 customers in the customers table. Details of 91 customers are saved in this table. So for all 91 customers, these details are saved: their ID, address, phone, country, fax, and so on. You can use this query to fetch record from any table. Say if I want detail from, let us do it for a different table. Say I want details from products table. It has all these columns. So let me write select star from products. Same query, select star from, only table name will change. Select star means everything, all the columns, from which table? Products table. Now when I run this, how many rows are there in this table? So this is a table which is going to store the product details. Details of all the products, like product ID, name of the product, how many quantity is there, what is the price of the product, how many units are in stock, how many units have been ordered. So details of each product is stored in products table. Yes, you're right. So there are 77 rows, which means details of 77 products are stored in the products table. Right, so details of 77 products are stored in the products table. So like this, you can fetch record for any table by using this query, select star from products. So like I said, star means everything, all columns. If I write star, how many columns are there in the products table? Everything you will see in the result. If you don't want all the columns, if you want, say, only, let me go back to customers table. I'll select star from customers and run the query. Right now it is giving me list of all the customers. Say if you don't want all the columns, you are interested only in few columns. I want customer ID, their name and address. I want only 3 columns. I'm not interested in others. I don't want their company name and their fax or phone number. All these things I don't want. I want only 3 columns from the customers table. I want customer ID, contact name and address. So if you want only selected columns from a table, then you can replace star with the list of column names that you want. You can replace star with the list of column names that you want. So you can write select. So instead of star, just give the column names. I want customer ID, comma, I want contact name, comma, and I want address. From which table? Customers table. Just replace star with the list of column names. Select. If I want only these 3 columns, then I'll replace star with customer ID, contact name and address. From which table? Customers table. Now I'll select only this query, execute or press F5. Now if you look at the result, all same 91 rows are there, but you will see only 3 columns, right? You will see only customer ID, contact name and address. Star means all columns. If you don't want all columns, then just replace star with the list of column names that you want in your result. Right? So these are the 2 simple queries to start with. So we'll be learning today and tomorrow we'll focus on the select command. And then we will learn the other commands because this is the basic command in SQL. So select is used when you want to fetch something from the database. Right, so now that we know about the terms, how to do the installation, and we have just started with 2 commands. Tomorrow's class we will continue with other commands in SQL. We will learn some more commands in SQL in tomorrow's class. So any questions in today's session? Anyone is having any questions? All right. If there are no questions, we will wind up for today. And we will continue again tomorrow. So tomorrow same time you will have the next SQL class. So meanwhile you can try with the installation, and tomorrow we'll learn some more commands in SQL. All right, so that's all I have for today. We'll continue again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.